Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dumebilia. If this is your first time, you're welcome. Welcome to my channel. You guys can see I have my Christmas lights and all of that. I'm already prepared for Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. And if you're a return subscriber, welcome back. So today's video is going to be me talking about the movie Black Panther 2. I haven't seen the movie, but this video is still going to be relevant, please, because I'm not talking about things that happened in the movie. It's not a movie review. I'm actually going to be talking about the effects, the discussions that have come out of this specific movie. I've seen a few clips online and I'm like, it's inciting some discussions and some discrimination between black people and white people, and I don't think that's what this movie was intended to do. So that's what we're going to be discussing in this video. So before we get right into it, I'll play the first clip and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Okay, so let's agree that it should not be okay to use racial slurs against any ethnicity in any film like this, because the way these characters talk about white people is incredibly regressive. Because boy does the main character Shuri love throwing around that term colonizer, which is really kind of funny to me, because she's got some kind of holier-than-thou attitude when we know that the Wakandans, while colonization slavery was going on, they sat around and did nothing about it. Because something that allowed Europeans to be so effective in the Americas and in Africa was their superior technology. And yet in this universe, the Wakandans had basically space-age technology since forever. So really, what pedestal is she standing on? Then we get comments like, wow, a white man in chains, now I've seen everything. How incredibly ignorant are you of world history? You think that white people have never been in chains? And if all of this racism served a purpose, it would be okay, but it doesn't. Because on one hand, these guys are supposed to be technologically and philosophically superior to the rest of the world. But their prejudice towards people based on their skin color seems, well, all too familiar and disappointing. And is this really a direction we like to see in the world today?
So you guys saw that man started his video with how, one of the characters in Black Panther referred to a white man as colonizer, and then he's trying to make it look like, because I'm sure he knows, I'm sure he has a dictionary, I'm sure he's well educated to the point of knowing the meaning of colonizer and what a racial slur is. But he picked up his phone and decided to come and talk about how racial slurs should not be allowed in movies. Like, how dare they call us colonizer? But that's what you guys are. Let me put up the full meaning of colonizer on the screen. It's not a racial slur. It is just the real truth. This is a historical thing. This is what your people did. This is what your people are known to do. I'm Nigerian and my country just got its independence in 1960. That's like how many years ago? It's not that long ago. You guys are known for doing that. Sir, do you know history? Sir, do you know your history? Do you know what your people are known for? If you did, you wouldn't have said that.
Boy does the main character Shuri love throwing around that term colonizer, which is really kind of funny to me.
Because the point was for it to be funny to people, since Shuri was only saying that to tease Ross, not invalidate something he said. Look, as a white person, I completely understand where you're coming from, and while the term colonizer is not a slur, to use it to invalidate what someone has to say is absolutely regressive. But that's not what happened in the movie. Shuri calling Ross a colonizer was just her teasing him. She wasn't being serious. Or the white guy in chains remark you brought up, that wasn't meant to be serious either. They were clearly joking. I don't think they were particularly good jokes, but they weren't putting some hidden message in it that white people ruin everything. Again, no one is in any position to tell you that you're not allowed to criticize Black Panthers solely because you are white. But the issue here is that you didn't like the jokes, which is still a valid thing to criticize, but that's a completely different conversation than the one you're using. And I'm not making this video to cater towards anyone. I'm just saying your reasoning is ridiculous.
Then he was talking about why do people in Wakanda fight slavery, and I'm like, sir, do you realize that there is no real country called Wakanda?
To answer your question, why didn't Wakanda ever intervene in America and free the slaves? If they did that, wouldn't be no Marvel Universe. But you knew that.
So you guys, while I was researching more on Black Panther, the reaction and the way people are receiving it and all of that, I came across this video that was made back in, I think, August, and I was embarrassed, I will not lie. I'm going to play it now.
This message is to all our would-be accomplices and white allies. This message is to all the white people who have BLM in their bio. If you really want to prove to Black people that you love us and you care about us and you are down for the cause, do not go see that movie opening weekend. You buy your ticket, you give it to a Black person or a Black family who can't afford to go, and then you go sit at that theater in front of the doors. You make sure that every black person in that theater can enjoy that movie in peace. You make sure that you use your body to block us from anybody who would be coming in that theater to do us harm. That is your job. You can go see it on another weekend. Go see it on the second or third weekend. But the first weekend, that's for us. To do anything other than this is anti-black.
You guys, the first thing that came to my mind when I watched that video was like, are people going to the cinemas to attack black people while they are watching Black Panther 2? Like, is that a thing? Someone let me know, because I'm like, why do we need protection if wherever you live is that unsafe that you cannot go without white people having to stand and barricade the door just so you can see a movie? Maybe you should stay at home, oh, right? Like, I think that's ridiculous. She's a, she's a black woman. I understand where she might be coming from because she feels like this is our thing. We're talking about, I wouldn't even say it's black history because it's a fiction, right? But we're basically celebrating blackness and black excellence and, African culture and the beauty of black people and all of that. I get it. But this is a situation where gatekeeping is going wrong. Gatekeeping gone wrong. Like, understand that we need to gatekeep some things that are very precious to us, that are sacred to us, like our spirituality, some parts of our culture and all of that. But this one is not one of them. Do you guys realize that Black Panther is a comic? How many black people, how many of us really knew about Black Panther before it was made into a movie? I did not know. I really do not care about comics except when they are made into movies. And there are some of them I downright sleep off while watching, I will not lie. So why do we feel like this is something we have to gatekeep? Don't you think that you asking white people to not watch it is like, I think that's kind of, and I can't believe that I'm saying this. I know some of you might come for me and all of that, but in as much as we like to feel like black people cannot be, but if a white person said, I'm not going to see Black Panther because it's for black people, y'all will call them, you will call them the R word. Y'all will call them the R word.
Do not go see that movie opening weekend.
How much do y'all want to bet she didn't know Black Panther existed before 2018, or that she probably hasn't even picked up a Black Panther comic in her life? She's probably not even a Marvel fan. She only likes Black Panther, and that's valid. But not when you try to gatekeep it from the rest of the fans, okay? And calling people because they don't give up their tickets to another black family, that's just absurd, okay? That's absurd. It's such a stupid thing to do. This fictional character from a fictional country fighting another fictional character from another fictional world was created by two white dudes. So I'm putting that out there. Go look it up. You probably don't know who they are. Stanley and Jack Kirby. Anyone who has the ability to go buy a ticket can see this movie and should see this movie. Do not be a dumbass like her. You're not a racist for seeing it opening night or opening weekend. Do what you want.
Do you want them to make more Black Panther movies? In 2018, Black Panther in the US made $700 million. Just on opening weekend, they made over $200 million. Now, it takes $200 million to make a Black Panther movie, so just on opening weekend alone, they made back their investment. Now, that same opening weekend, out of that $202 million, 37% of ticket sales were purchased by people who identify as black. 37% of $202 million is about $75 million, depending on ticket cost. This means between 10 and 15% of the black population in the US attended on opening weekend. So let's do some math. We're going to keep it really simple, nice round numbers. It's just for illustration purposes. I will be using demographic data from the census.gov website. So the US population in total, again, rounding the numbers, is about 332 million. In the US, the black population accounts for 14% of the population. Rounding the number, it's about 47 million. Now, let's just pick 10%. 10% of this 47 million are going to attend on opening weekend. 10% of 47 million is 5 million. Now, ticket sales average between $10 and $15, so let's say it's $12. 5 million times $12 is 60 million. Well, that's not enough. That's definitely not 200 million. So let's add non-black people of color. I don't like that term, but whatever. So let's add the Pacific Islanders and Native Americans and Latino population in the U.S. Adding those populations together at 21% is 68 million people. 10% of 68 million is 7 million. Times $12 in ticket sales is 84 million. Well, shit, that's still not enough. 144 million for opening weekends, not very good. So let's see what we're missing out on. 75% of the U.S. population identifies as white. That's 249 million. Now, because you told them not to, only 7% of that attended. That's 17 million. 17 million times $12 in ticket sales is 204 million just on the whites alone.
Black Panther, first of all, is not something for us to gatekeep. It was made by two white men. Yeah, number one. Number two, it's fiction. It's not like African history. It's not even, it's just that, okay, the cast are African and all of that, yes. But it's not, I feel like it's not that deep for us to clog, like, to be clutching it like to our chest, like till we go to the grave, we're clutching it like this is ours, this is ours. No. I was on the whole Wakanda Forever hype, like with the part 1 and all of that. I don't know why I wouldn't say I don't really feel that way about part 2. I'm just saying that I feel like the vibe is different. If there was a bigger buzz about the first one, maybe because it was the first. I think maybe this might be a common reaction to sequels. People are not as excited to see sequels. Or maybe it's because Chadwick Boseman died, rest his soul. Although they did the premieres, people were getting all dressed up, we were seeing all the red carpet pictures, all the fabulous African outfits, African tribal makeup and all of that, beautiful. But I did not get the same vibe that I got from the first one. And yeah, that's fine, it's okay. But one thing that I commend Wakanda for is it gave a Pan-African experience to everyone. Like, I felt like every African, everybody of African descent, now I'm not talking of just Africans alone, every African in diaspora in every part of the world, like everybody had something to connect to. Everybody had that one thing. You know, I watched the movie and I saw Mbaku speaking in a Nigerian accent, and I loved it. I loved the whole Africanness. I loved the celebration of our culture and the pride and all of that. We were shown in a good light. Yes. So I understand why it's a big deal. But as an African, I will not lie to you guys, I could see that it was basically fiction. I could tell because they were just picking up from different parts of different African tribes and cultures, and they just meshed everything. And it's beautiful. I'm able to separate reality from fiction, knowing that it is not real. And I think, like, Black people, sometimes we get so into this media thing in such a way that anything that celebrates Blackness, anything that we feel like we are the main characters that in quote tells our story, even if it's fiction, you know, we tend to attach too much sentiment to it. That's the way I feel. I feel like her saying that it is as a result of her attaching too much sentiment to it. Like, it's not that deep, you know. And I'm saying this because the same thing happened during the Woman King. It sparked a lot of arguments, how people were talking about they did not tell the real story the way it is about the Dahomey tribe, that those women were not heroes. Instead, they played a major role in capturing slaves and all of that. Yes, we get it. But I watched the movie not looking at it as a narration of history. I knew it was fiction. If anything, something positive came out of it because I had to go and read up on the history of the Dahomey people. So in a way, we are being forced to know our real culture. Even if it is told in these movies in an inaccurate way, it is still somehow good. But I feel like we should not attach so much sentiments to it, so much so that it begins to do things like this in such a way that we take it so seriously that it causes discussions where it begins to look like we are segregating and, you know, bringing up discussions and stuff like that. I feel like let's be able to detach from these things. Let's appreciate it. Let's enjoy it as the entertainment that it is, but let's not attach so much sentiments to it that it begins to, you know, become a negative thing when it's just supposed to be entertainment, when it's supposed to be positivity. You know, that's what I feel. I feel like Black people, maybe we've been so starved of positive representation in the media. Maybe we've been so starved of seeing our own people be the heroes and, you know, basically taking lead roles and being shown in a way that exposes our culture, our beautiful history, that's the African history and all of that, where we came from before, you know, slavery and all of that, so much so that we are so attached to these stories, forgetting that these stories are being told from the angle of white people. I think the same thing happened with The Little Mermaid. Look at the whole outrage that came from them casting a Black girl as Ariel. I feel like if we had more movies, more ways to put ourselves as protagonists, to put ourselves as lead characters, to put ourselves out there. We will not create this negative attachment to something like this that is just fiction, to be able to come out and say stuff like this. Like, really, it's just a movie I feel everyone should celebrate. I don't think the whole white people shouldn't see Black Panther thing makes any sense, in my opinion. I know some of you guys might come for me. I just feel like black people should stop attaching so much importance to these things. These are fiction. If anything, I really hope that we find a way to create our own thing. Like in the case of The Little Mermaid and all of that, how about we create more Disney movies that are centered on black characters? How about we create our own things that are unique to us, that are about us, that we can celebrate as our own? And I feel like we should allow people to appreciate this. You telling people not to see that movie is obviously going to affect the performance of the movie. The movie is not going to do well, and who does that really end up favoring? Nobody. If you want to make a movie that nobody watches, I just think like we need to ease up on this. The gatekeeping thing can sometimes be a little too much. I understand that we need to gatekeep, but there are some things that we really don't need to go to war over. So that being said, I have to wrap up this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.